We've come a long way since having our minds collectively blown by 30 FPS classics like Halo Combat Evolved on the OG Xbox. Then again with the Xbox 360, pushing gaming technology towards 60 FPS, a frame rate so smooth it felt like we were seeing beyond what the human eye could even comprehend. Fast forward through 2 more generations of Xbox where 60 FPS became the standard. Let's just skip over the launch of Starfield because it's all good now, right? And here we are with 120 FPS games on Xbox Series consoles. And yes, that means both of them. Whether you're aiming to dominate the competition or just want to push your console to the limit, I'm Crago of Pure Xbox, and here are some of the best games that you can play at 120 FPS on your Xbox Series consoles. But before we dive in, there are just a few things that you'll need to get to make the most out of these 120 FPS games. First up, we'd recommend an Xbox Series X. While some of these games will run at 120 FPS on the Series S, we recommend the X for the best balance between graphics and performance. Next, you'll need a TV or monitor capable of outputting 120 Hz, and finally you'll need an HDMI 2.1 cable to deliver all of those buttery smooth frames. Now that we're all set up for 120 FPS gaming, let's dive into the games. Let's start off with the most popular console game on the planet, Fortnite. Love it or hate it, Fortnite is a marvel on Xbox Series X and S, and is our first 120 FPS game. I say game, but Fortnite is really a collection of gaming experiences, everything from Battle Royale modes to social hangouts and live world events. You can even Rocket League race or build a life in a cozy LEGO world. On Xbox Series X, you can hit 120 FPS at 1440p, whilst on the Series S, you'll need to drop the resolution down to 1080p to achieve the same frame rate. There's a bit of a trade-off between resolution and frames per second, which will generally be the case throughout the video. Just something to keep in mind. The Halo franchise has been synonymous with every generation of Xbox, and both Halo the Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite Multiplayer shine at 120 FPS. That's 7 Halo games to get stuck into, all running at buttery smooth frame rates. Much like Fortnite, you'll get 1080p on the Series S and 1440p on the Series X, though you could opt for 4K at 60 FPS, but that's not the focus here. Halo's combat often hinges on tracking an enemy's head across the screen, and those extra frames make keeping your scope locked on your target a much smoother experience.
You're amazing, Spartan!
Enhancing the frenetic intensity of Doom Eternal with the extra frames of the Xbox Series X is hands down the best way to play on console, edging out the PS5 thanks to slightly better resolutions across the board. This chaotic shooter thrives on smoother FPS, making the relentless demon slaying feel way more immersive. With Doom Eternal running at 120 FPS on both Xbox Series X and S, it's easily one of my must-play titles on Xbox. Also, despite the controversy, the badass soundtrack in Doom Eternal is enough reason to give it a go. Rip and tear, my friends, rip and tear. As one of Xbox's flagship titles, and with Gears E-Day on the horizon, now's a great time to dive back into the crunchy combat of Gears 5. Whilst the campaign doesn't feature the super slick 120 FPS, the online multiplayer absolutely does. Whether you're popping grub heads in Horde mode, going toe-to-toe with the COG in PvP, or just spinning your grenade for the lads, the jump from 60 to 120 FPS is massive. Still to this day, Gears 5 is easily one of the best looking games on the Xbox Series consoles, and the fact that both Xbox Series X and S can run the multiplayer at 120 FPS makes it a fantastic showcase of what these consoles can do. Split-second decisions are everything in tactical shooters like Valorant, so having a frame advantage over the enemy team is exactly the edge you need to come in clutch. Valorant made its way to Xbox consoles not too long ago, and on the Series X you can play it in 4K at 120 FPS, making it one of the smoothest shooters on the system. I'm no expert on hero shooters, they're not typically my thing, but playing Valorant at 4K 120 on Xbox, it's just hard to ignore how smooth and impressive the experience is. I guess we're starting to see a bit of a pan here. Turns out that FPS is pretty crucial for shooters. Who'd have thought, right? But let's switch gears with the high-speed flying car chaos of Rocket League. Scoring goals as a jet-propelled Warthog only gets better with more frames at your disposal. Both Xbox Series X and S can hit 120 FPS, and with the X pushing close to 4K resolution and the S at 1080p, I'm not one of those acrobatic pros that you see soaring around in Rocket League, but I definitely found the extra frames helpful when it came to sinking the ball into the back of the net. Top bins, everybody, top bins! If you think zombies are scary, imagine them coming at you at 120 FPS. I wanted to keep the variety train going, and whilst Resident Evil 2 is sorta, technically a shooter, it's also a masterclass in horror that deserves a mention. There's something way more creepy about the undead strutting towards you at 120 frames. It's almost like they're faster, if that makes sense. I don't know about you, but higher frame rates definitely make things feel quicker. You'll need to toggle ray tracing off and flip the high frame rate mode in settings to unleash these extra frames, but Resident Evil 2 was groundbreaking on the PS1, a true 30 FPS pioneer, and I can't think of a better game to showcase how far we've come. Most of us would agree that 120 FPS delivers a pretty fluid experience, right? But what's more fluid than the ocean? Haha! Sea of Thieves is another standout title from Xbox Game Studios that fully leverages the power housed within the Xbox Series X. Whilst 120 FPS might not be essential for a pirate legend, it sure makes sailing the seamless and vibrant world of Sea of Thieves even more immersive. To this day, I haven't seen a better looking ocean in gaming, and it looks absolutely stunning with that FPS boost. When I think about 120 FPS on Xbox Series X and S, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is one of the first games that comes to mind, especially knowing Ubisoft developed it to run at 60 FPS on the Nintendo Switch. Whilst it's not the most technically demanding game, it's pretty enough. And at 4K resolutions, the frenetic movement, combat, and energy of The Lost Crown are incredibly smooth on Xbox Series X and S. The platforming in this game is sublime, earning a 9 out of 10 from us earlier this year. So matching that high quality with 120 FPS just feels right. Last on the docket is Ubisoft's newest shooter, XDefiant. It earns its spot here as one of the latest competitive FPS games out there. Despite its relatively long time to kill, XDefiant is a super fast-paced shooter that really benefits from an increased frame rate. On Xbox Series X, you can play it in 4K at 120 FPS, which helps you react quicker and gives you the edge in gunfights. XDefiant might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it's pretty cool to get into scraps across Ubisoft's iconic IPs like The Division, Splinter Cell, and even Rainbow Six Siege. Now, these are just a small snapshot of the many games optimized at 120 FPS on Xbox Series X and S. So don't forget to check out the link in the description for Pure Xbox's full feature list. We've come a long way from 30 FPS, and I'd love to hear about your favorite 120 FPS game experiences in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and all that's left to say is bye-bye for now. Cheerio!